Members, are there others? The honourable member for Airdrie East, Airdrie Cochrane.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy to have this opportunity to speak on an important motion brought about by the member from Drayton Valley Devon. This member is a strong advocate for his constituents, and when it comes to the energy sector and being a champion for small and mid-sized players, he's second to none. So thanks for bringing this forward. Alberta's energy sector is vital to our province's well-being. The sector keeps our economy running. And among the most important contributors to this sector are the hundreds of small producers that operate here. From a production perspective, the large producers may get the attention, but when it comes to job creation, innovation, and entrepreneurial spirit, then it's clearly the small players that dominate. They're the heart and soul of Alberta's energy sector. Yes, it's true that the oil and gas prices here have substantially rebounded from a 6-year downturn in the market, but that does not mean that all is well and good. The cost to produce continues to climb with newly implemented regulations and other factors at play. The industry struggles with issues around egress, the availability and cost of labor, land acquisition costs, red tape burdens, insurance rates, and financing. To make matters worse, the federal government is hell-bent on destroying Alberta's energy industry. The Prime Minister himself has discussed the phase-out of the oil sands, is forward about his intent to end fossil fuel production, he's opposed pipelines, and he's establishing more and more restrictions meant to damage the industry. Things such as the carbon tax, and by the way, more carbon taxes are lying in wait. Oh yeah, we got the Clean Fuel Standard, which is just another carbon tax that the feds have waiting to unleash on Canadians, possibly by the end of next year. So the costs of heating homes and driving vehicles, and in general the cost of goods, will continue to go up from the already scheduled $170 carbon tax, but the creation of this new one will only make matters worse. Then there's also the methane regulations. So last year, Alberta agreed to a 45% decrease in methane emissions. But this was just recently brought forward by the feds in perfect form that they are going to move the goalposts, and they forecasted a change in those requirements to 75%. Then we have Bill C-48, legislation to ban the shipment of Alberta bitumen products only from deep-water ports in northern BC. It's beyond me how the federal government has the right to discriminate and limit the sale of products or materials from any one province. And if emissions are truly at the heart of their issue, they would ban the shipments of vehicles, planes, or any other motorized products out of Ontario and Quebec. But of course, we know that that is not in the cards. Bill C-69, that's another gem. It implements subjective analysis into project assessment. Even with the green light on regulatory approvals, a project can be stopped at any point without cause. This certainly makes investment decisions in Canada much more complicated, Mr. Speaker. Furthermore, the Trudeau government created ambiguous net zero legislation and, without consultation, are going to impose an emissions cap on Alberta production. Mr. Speaker, this is just the tip of the iceberg. But all this is done by the feds in an attempt at economic destabilization of Alberta's economy. And the destructive nature is astonishing. You know, look at the recent appointment of an extremist to the position of Federal Minister of the Environment. You know, this should be a signal to every Albertan that tensions are going to continue to mount as the uninformed ideological drive to eliminate fossil fuel production in Canada ramps up. And to me, Mr. Speaker, none of this makes sense. Alberta is a world leader in innovation and environmental stewardship. Alberta producers have always been a dominant force in research and development. As an engineer, a small business person, farmer, rancher, family man, I care about the future of this province, and I expect that my peers in this chamber do as well. Just as the hard-working employees of Alberta's energy industry do, Mr. Speaker. We all want similar things, don't we? A future for our kids, to provide for our families, a clean and safe environment for everyone. That is why this attack on Alberta makes not one lick of sense. Displacing Canadian production only leads to an expansion of imports. It leads to increased emissions as this displaced product comes from countries with significantly lower environmental standards, not to mention the human rights violations. It comes with job losses and lower wages. It comes with decreased energy supply, but no change in world demand, which of course will lead to higher prices. And this one's interesting, Mr. Speaker. It comes with lower government revenues as the energy industry is the largest, biggest single contributor to those revenues coffers. So are the feds going to reduce spending? Doubtful. But lower revenues are going to either lead to higher debt or reduced services, both of which are bad. So, Mr. Speaker, I ask you, how does this help our kids? How does this help us provide for our families? And in what universe does this lead to an improved environment? It doesn't. Mr. Speaker, there's been significant work done around red tape reduction, taxation, and liability where our government has made improvements, especially trying to work within the confines of the federal government's imposition. Programs such as TIER to help fund producers with environmental initiatives, and in other areas such as geothermal, helium, hydrogen, and even SMRs, where we're trying to create a positive climate for investment. But this motion, it also urges government to develop an incentive framework designed to assist in supporting the profitability of small and medium-sized producers. So with that in mind, Mr. Speaker, I want to mention one innovative approach that was mentioned earlier, since I've had the opportunity to consult with groups on a program called R-Star. And I, as well as other MLAs in here, feel that this program has the potential to benefit our province's economy, create jobs for Albertans, while at the same time benefiting the environment. The concept of R-Star is straightforward. After a well is abandoned, companies earn a future royalty credit based on a well site's pre-calculated liability value. And I should add that this credit is only redeemable here in Canada. So instead of, in Alberta. Instead of the heavy-handed approach to enforcing reclamation or handing out billions of dollars in grant money, programs like R-Star incentivize companies to clean up sites, which creates an asset through the R-Star credit, therefore boosting their balance sheet and at the same time minimizing environmental impact. Programs like R-Star will continue to make our province attractive to all, but particularly for small and mid-sized producers, bringing jobs to Alberta and incentivizing our oil and gas industry's already impeccable environmental record. It's no secret that our economy has suffered over the course of the last 2 years with COVID, and longer when considering the totality of the sector downturn. But continued support for small producers can provide a huge boost to Alberta's economic recovery, which I might add is well underway. Let's not forget the undeniable fact that our energy partners continue to play a vital role in not only Alberta's economy, but also that of Canada. And one should not buy into a naive narrative that the oil and gas sector is inherently bad for the environment. We know that without Alberta, the global environmental footprint suffers. We continue, and we should continue, to embrace programs and initiatives that showcase how truly innovative Alberta's energy sector is and proudly defend those who earn their living in the field. So finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to again thank the honourable member from Drayton Valley, Devon, for bringing forward this topic for discussion, and I want to encourage all members to support this motion. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to adjourn debate. Thank you.